Okay, guys, welcome into a newly renamed Three High Safeties. Sam Monson here with our man Bruce Gradkowski and special guest Sean Salisbury. Thanks for joining us. Let's start off with the big news. Von Miller goes down with an ankle injury. Turns out it's not quite as serious as they thought it was. They thought it was definitely a season ender. There's a chance he might be back late in the season or for the playoffs. But let's first start with, what does losing Von Miller do to this Denver defense, Sean?
Well, you're talking about one of the great edge rushers and disruptors in football. And outside, and I think Bruce and I will agree with this, although Bruce was far better at it than I am, is disruptors are as important, Sam, and you guys know, as there is in the league. And this team had such great aspirations, another year with Drew lockdown, getting those receivers and getting Chubb healthy again. Now you're thinking, whoa, this could be devastating. And in that division, boy, do they got some disruptors. So it means a lot. You can't just take away one of the great disruptors in the league. Those guys are not easy to find, as we've well seen. And I think it's devastating for them. But if they're close and they can hang in there without him, and now defensive coordinator, you got to make a few changes. But if they're close and you can hang in there without him, if you can get him late, man, what a shot of Red Bull that'll be for Denver if they're close. But that's a devastating loss regardless whether it's for 5 games or 15.
No, you're right, Sean. What a disruptor, man. And he's, as a quarterback, you don't want to see that guy on the edge. So I think Patrick Mahomes is happy in a sense, but man, you feel bad for the guy. You just see how hard he's worked this offseason, because last year, yes, he didn't have the best year. First time for us, he graded below a 90 in his PFF grade. Man, the dude is unbelievable, but more than stats is what he brings in the locker room. His just presence alone and how reliable he has played and been healthy his whole career. So I think that's more important, is him just not being there for his team on and off the field. Hopefully he can get back sooner at some point during the season.
Yeah, it's obviously a huge blow. Sean, I think you made a great point that this might require some tinkering on defense and actually change the scheme a little bit, because that system relies on getting pressure with the front four. And if Von Miller isn't there, it's tough to see too many other guys bringing that heat. They might have to dial up some blitz, which is going to affect the back end as well. This is going to have a big effect on that defense overall, I think. Let's pivot to Deshaun Watson. Big offseason story, obviously, is they ship out his number one receiver, DeAndre Hopkins. What kind of effect do you think that will have? Because I've got a sneaking kind of suspicion we might see a better Deshaun Watson this year without his number one receiver.
Sam, I'm with you 100%. And I fortunately get to talk about Deshaun Watson a lot, hosting Morning Drive here in Houston. But first of all, I think all three of us know that this is a different cat. There's some DNA built into this guy that says, got MVP written all over him at some point. Now he's got to get some help and they've got to stay healthy. But what happens is when you lose a guy that we've seen it happen, we saw it happen, in some sense with Calvin Johnson and Matthew Stafford as well, where you lose the guy, and we all have a guy we lean on with a crutch, and Lord knows I needed more than one, in my career. But whether it was Troy Aikman and Jay Novacek, we watched Romo for all those years with his tight end and Witten. And everybody has a guy that you say, okay, we're Moss and Tom Brady at a certain time, or with that situation, and a receiver that you count on. But what happens is, and I think the next evolution to Watson's game is not only to be able to get rid of the hero syndrome and throw the ball away. I don't want to coach out of him being a big playmaker, but if he just realizes once in a while it's okay to punt, and that you don't have to lean on that guy. And as good as Hopkins is and was in Houston, now with the receivers with Cooks, and if you get Cobb involved and Will Fuller stays healthy and Stills, you start to look at now it's not one guy. You can lean on 3, 4, 5, 6 guys. And I think when I watch a quarterback who uses everybody, it tells me he has a great understanding mentally of what's going on the field. So what happens is you get everybody else involved. I actually think this can expand his game, because the ball may come out a split second quicker, because he's not waiting for Hop to do what he always does, win and catch close balls that are being contested. So I am a fan. Now, listen, I hated the trade, Sam and Bruce, when it happened. I hated it. I still do. But just looking on the surface, I think that Deshaun Watson, there's still another level to his game. And now he gets to find it a little more urgent. And with those weapons, because you can't just defend one, you've got to defend more. I think this could possibly be a great thing for Deshaun Watson, even though it sounds so weird to say, losing a great player like that.
No, I'm with you, Sean. Those are some great points, because initially, too, I hated the trade. You're losing your main guy, your security blanket. But also, like you pointed out, man, this could help him be more disciplined in his reads and progressions and play the game and operate the offense the right way. You know, you talked about Fuller and Cooks and QT. I mean, they have weapons there. So now it's up to Deshaun Watson to take that next step. For us, you know, he always is a guy that, you know, is electrifying. We love watching him. When he targeted DeAndre Hopkins the last 3 years, 22 big time throws, but 20 turnover worthy plays. So to me, maybe this will help him protect the ball more and get through his offense more strategically.
Yeah, and because of the things you guys mentioned, I didn't even hate necessarily the idea of trading away Hopkins. It was the specific trade they made that I hated. It was just a horrible way of going about it. I think to me, it just comes down to, you know, these guys, even guys as good as DeAndre Hopkins, these contested catch specialists, those guys are not bringing down more than 60% of those contested catches. It's such a hard skill to be good at. You're better off just trying to find the open guy, even if he's not as good a receiver. It fundamentally makes you a better quarterback, and it makes the offense better as well because it's easier to complete those passes. Last bit of news, Jalen Ramsey signs a monster contract, #1 corner, a market redefining contract, blows Tre'Davious White completely out of the water. Is he worth it?
Listen, I've always stated this, and I'm going to stick with this. If you're worth what you can negotiate, that's the way I look at it. If somebody's willing to pay you, you found a way to negotiate it, and you're worth it. And we see these guys, you know, to go like Hopkins and these guys negotiate their own deals, and they're not even giving 5 or 6% of it to agents these days. God bless them. I'll take the 5% that they're not giving to their agent, okay? But you know what? Listen, I think we overuse the term shutdown corner because if you're a good quarterback and they got to show you can't cover them all. So the Rams are paying about a full salary cap to Donald, Goff, and Ramsey. They're going to line up with 3 guys on, like the old school days when you're in the 5th grade, you had to play both ways. The Rams may end up having to do that. Now, Aaron Donald can probably play receiver, but I don't think. The closer to the line of scrimmage for me, the more valuable you are. Now, that's not to diminish Jalen Ramsey or a strong safety like Ramsey at being corner. I like edge rushers, tackles, quarter. The closer we get in, the more I'm like, you're closer to the quarterback in one, and I got the ball in my hand as a quarterback in another. Those things. But you know what? The Rams think he is, and that's really what matters. He thinks he is, and he'll let you know about it. And he's a great technician. He'll get after it. So as corners go, he's worth every penny. As the world goes and negotiating what you're worth, he's worth every penny. Would I have paid him that much? And he's a bit of a headache at times, but man, can he play? And I respect him greatly. Would I have paid him that much as a front office? No, I wouldn't have. But I also know that some teams like to have that guy, and we bitch about it and complain when we don't have a guy like that. And then when we get him, we love him, but we say, well, is it worth it? And Sam, it's a great question. I think, Bruce, and we all know how difficult it is when that guy decides to shut somebody down to get that guy the football. But if you're good, you find a way to manipulate the defense the right way. He's overpaid, but who isn't in our sport or in any sport? God bless him for getting it, but I don't think it makes the Rams a Super. Put it this way, I don't think they're a day closer to a Super Bowl. He's just a day bigger to his Chase direct deposit account or whatever one he banks with. Yeah, it's a big gig.
Well, it's kind of like the money you made in your career, right, Sean?
Oh, yeah. Hey, Bruce, 82.5 as a rookie, $5,500 signing bonus, and I thought I was rich, brother. I didn't have any. And I thought the most I made, he's going to make in about 3 weeks or 2 weeks, or should I say one paycheck? There you go.
But you know how to grind, brother. You know how to grind. And, you know, my $67,000 signing bonus as a 6th rounder, I felt like I was rich as well. But, you know, God bless him for getting the contract. I don't think he's playing up to par like he was in 2017. But he did come across strong later on in the year last year towards the end. But you said it, man. I don't know about paying that much in the back end. That's a lot of money. But when you're up at this time of year, we're going to see Dak Prescott. We're going to see all these guys. The money's going to just keep getting bigger and bigger. So, you know, I'm happy for him. And it seems that when he went to L.A., he kind of quieted down a little bit. On Hard Knocks, he hasn't been making a big deal. And I think it shows a lot. And look, he got his money. I want to see him perform now this season.
Amen.
The big thing that I think Ramsey does, though, is he takes those #1 receivers every week. He's got that tough assignment, the shadowing of #1 guys, and it doesn't just make the defense better because he's taking that #1 guy. It means that somebody like Troy Hill doesn't have to, you know. And Troy Hill, I think, is a pretty good cover corner, but he's like 5'11", 180 pounds. If he goes up against a Julio Jones, he's outweighed by 50 pounds. He's
right.
Shortchanged in height by like 4 or 5 inches. He's got no shot. But if you have a Jalen Ramsey, Troy Hill doesn't have to face those guys anymore, and he can be a much better corner because of it. So I think Ramsey's ability has this knock-on effect throughout the rest of that defense and kind of increases his value.
You want to get rid of me and get back to more great PFF YouTube content? All you have to do is push that button right there and subscribe. Thanks for watching.